and then onward to the Prince of Peace, the Redeemer coming down swiftly. Sirius, the hawk-eyed prince, and Nazarene. Just like the Gemini main constellation was obscured as twin brothers to hide their true identity and prophetic meaning as bride and groom, the same goes for its deacons, the constellations Canis Major, Minor, and Lepus, and especially Canis Major's brightest star, Sirius. The star speaks of the glorious prince who will thus subdue and reign. In the Dendera zodiac, he is called Apis, which means the head. That is reminiscent of the capstone. He is pictured as a hawk, which we can still recognize in the star names and the untainted asterism shape. We can see a bird clearly emanating through that shape. The word Naz, meaning cause to come forth, coming swiftly down, is connected to Jesus as Nazarene. Flanking Orion in line with its belt stars, it forms the bow of the ship Argo Navis below it. So the star cluster of Canis Major is both a hawk, it's connected with Orion pointing upward to the Pleiades, but below it is the ship Argo Navis. And that is the ship that Jesus is steering as a captain. He's going to bring the tribulation saints home as well. Scripture details how Jesus was called the Nazarene, having both come from Nazareth and because of his divine and earthly royal lineage, a true prince of princes like recorded in Daniel 8:25. We read in Isaiah 11:1, "There shall come forth a rod from the stem of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of its roots." The word branch comes from the Hebrew root word natsar or natsar. The very word is also used in Isaiah 26:3, but then translated as keep. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. We have discussed earlier the meaning of the word seer, meaning the word prince, as well as the Hebrew word sar. Combine the two names, Naz, meaning hawk, causing to come forth, and Seir, which means prince, you get Nazarene. The suffix "in" denotes one who is a citizen or a resident of a particular place. Jesus is the branch, the prince, the Nazarene, who was a resident or citizen of that town Nazareth. So the mystery as to why the scripture in Matthew 2:23 refers to something spoken of by the prophets is found hidden in the meaning of the names in the ancient Hebrew and Egyptian language, which has Hebrew roots. The hawk, Sirius, is the natural dominant enemy of the serpent. Lepus, which is positioned underneath Orion, currently as a hare or a rabbit, but that used to be a serpent. And at the times, it was depicted as a pestle and mortar carrying on its head. So the hawk had a pestle and mortar, indicating the fact that he shall crush the head of the enemy. Below, the Sirius hawk is depicted with a double crown, symbolizing the unification of Upper and Lower Egypt. Its celestial alignments, in particular to the shaft of the Queen's Chamber, points to the star Sirius. That is depicted in the images number 7 and 8 below. We're going to take a look at that. The shaft is blocked at this time, and that is reminiscent of those not having ascended to the antechamber yet, which is higher. Thus, at this time, not yet partaking in the prince's first arrival. These are the foolish virgins. In Numbers 24:17, we read about this star as well. "I shall see him, but not now. I shall behold him, but not nigh. There shall come a star out of Jacob, and a scepter shall rise out of Israel." So here we see Orion, and behind it, the hawk. And the hawk eye is Sirius. This is the double crown, meaning the unification of Upper and Lower Egypt. And remember that Giza, which means border, is on the border of Upper and Lower Egypt, the altar and witness to the Lord. Here, another depiction of the hawk and the bright eye. Here, the planisphere of the Dendera, the fragment with the Sirius constellation next to Orion. This is a depiction of Argo Navis drawn out. This is what it looks like in stone. It is currently no longer in Egypt, but it's been shipped to Paris. This is another depiction of, again, Orion with the constellation Canis Major, the hawk, and the hawk eye. What the elite have done, most likely in the mirroring of Sirius as being part of a dog constellation, it has historical reasons, but most likely they have used this layer of meaning as a mockery of God. The historical reasons for the hawk being obscured may be found in its Persian depiction, which may have fitted the enemy's spiritual agenda to mock God, reversing dog and God as well. In the Persian planisphere, Canis Major is pictured as a wolf. It's called Zeeb, which in Hebrew has the same meaning. Plutarch translates it as leader, and in Arabic it means coming quickly. The ancient name and meaning must be obtained from the name of the stars which have come down to us. So that is what Bullinger has done. So he has remained really authentic, has not been led by the layering of images, but has looked at the names of the stars. There are 64 altogether. 2 of the first magnitude, 2 of the second, 4 of the third, and 4 of the fourth, etc. And the brightest one is, of course, the star Sirius, the prince, as in Isaiah 9:6. So these are a couple of enemy depictions or layerings of Canis Major, from which we have the understanding that it is a dog constellation. So this is the emanation of Anubis in the Iped goat. This is the hieroglyph of Sirius, connected to the pyramids, the star, and a dome. So in addition to Canis Major, there is also a Canis Minor, the smaller hawk. The 2 hawks serve as celestial witnesses to Gemini. And the minor depiction had a human figure with a head of a hawk. The ancients called it Sebak, which has a Hebrew root word meaning Sheba, meaning to take captive. To the Egyptians, this indicated he was the conquering or victorious one. And Canis Minor is associated with both capture and blossoming. The 2 hawks appear to serve as a type of the 2 witnesses. This is explained in this book over here. The small hawk would represent the people of God who have been perfected or made whole in their love for the Lord. The larger hawk and Sirius as the coming prince himself. After Christ's return to both rescue and judge, we know from the scripture that the bride is shown to work alongside the bridegroom for the end times harvest. So as he works in judgment, she joins him in his work. And this is the depiction of Sirius as the bowman or the bow star of Argo Navis. Here we see the constellation Canis Major with Sirius, and it's heading that ship, Argo Navis, the ship that the Captain Jesus is going to steer home. Again, Sirius is in front of Argo Navis, the captain, the ship of Captain Jesus. And Procyon is the brightest star in Canis Minor. Argo Navis and Sirius. This is the rendition according to the Egyptian depictions. And this solar bark is of course familiar also of the enemy signaling in the Iped goat. Sirius is the bow star of Argo Navis, the heavenly ship steered by Jesus, the captain of our soul, bringing his faithful home. Argo Navis, this ship, speaks of the captain's ship and the brave travelers coming home with the lost treasure regained. Their toils and hazards and battles are over, gaining blessed rest in their lasting inheritance. The company of travelers, made up of heroes under Jesus' command and leadership, they went forth through various trials, conflicts, and sufferings, helped by the holy oracles that went along, the waymakers, and sustained by the heavenly ointments, the powers to heal the wounds and the hurts that had to be encountered. And they took the precious prize, the prize of Sirius, the prince himself. And then, through varied fortunes, he brings the heroes back victoriously to the home shore. Here, the story fits in every part. It is the old ship of Zion landed in the heavenly port. So here you can read more confirmations and depictions, in addition to a beautiful poem of Jesus as our soul and our ship's captain. Jesus will still the storm, and we're going to encounter storms until he comes. And Jesus said so. We are encouraged to not fear. The highway of holiness is a person. His name is Jesus Christ, the one true captain of the heart, mind, and soul, coming for us, the bride, swiftly and quickly. Make sure he is steering your ship as you abide in him and seek his face, heeding his instructions. One of the instructions is to be ready spiritually. This is the link to a video which explains how to ready yourself if you're not familiar with that notion. We're also called to look up into the heavens because we will see our redemption drawing nigh. Regardless of winds rising, waves bashing against our ship, and darkness which is clearly encroaching, Jesus is in full control. So the month of Av will soon start. That is connected to that account in David most likely. So the month of Av biblically is a new wine festival month. It was the month that Elijah was taken to heaven after crossing the Jordan. It was also the month of the Benjamin tribal snatch of the maidens of Shiloh, another type of the rapture. It is a month of mourning as well. It is the only month which is not named in the Bible. It is a summer month of 30 days and usually occurs in July, August on our Gregorian calendar. The name Av means father. It derives from the root which means to will or to desire. And we know that Jesus is our desire of ages. And the first day of the month of Av is known as the first of 9 days. It is a time established by the Jewish rabbis to mourn the destruction of the two Jewish temples. Lacking discernment, those are only shadows pointing to the fact that it was the body of the temple of the Lord himself that had in fact been destroyed. So the first 9 days are connected with mourning. But the month of Av is also the beginning of the vintage pruning and grape harvest. And we know that from the Giza calendar. That is an agricultural calendar. And the importance of grapes is illustrated by the fact that the set-apart believers named the Essenes had the atonement of the new wine festival. That is on Av 3. We recall how new wine was tied to the day of Pentecost fully come, at the time of the summer wheat harvest, which is mentioned in Acts 2. This new wine festival came 50 days or 7 weeks after Pentecost. Until then, when new wine was offered, no one could drink any of the new juice. We know that from the temple scroll. And of course, it's reminding us of the betrothal of Jesus to his disciples in the upper room at the Last Supper, and him promising that he would not partake of the new wine until he saw us. And the new wine is the sparkling wine or the champagne. And that picture is again tied to the rapture. With this picture of sparkling wine, I'd like to conclude this set of videos. There's more information in the article, but I believe this is the essence of the narrative. So I want to thank you for your prayers, your input, your feedback, and let us continue to encourage one another and rejoice, because I believe the Lord's coming is so nigh, and I hope it's going to be this weekend. But maybe we will only fully understand all these amazing pictures in the heavens, in the scriptures, in Giza, afterward. So I hope it's a breadcrumb trail for those coming after us as well. Much love.